Welcome into KSL Sports Rewind. My name is Dane Stewart. Please be joined by Jeff Hansen. We've got our 4A playoff preview for second week games. Cannot wait to get into it. We've got a ton of good action that we want to dive right into. We might also make some picks potentially. We'll see how things go, Jeff, how we're feeling. But Jeff, we've got second round games this week. So a lot of first round buys in 4A, some games played in 4A, including some great games played in 4A. But Jeff, let's dive into it real quickly. Give me a matchup that you think in this second round that's really, really intriguing for you in the 4A playoffs.
You know, there's a few in this second round that I have circled as games that I think are going to be really, really good. And the first one that comes to mind is Mountain Crest and Stansbury, two of the better quarterbacks that we really haven't talked about all year long in Brighton Rutzel and Braden Larson. I think this game is going to be a ton of fun. And the reason I think that is because it was a ton of fun when we saw this game the first time. Now you get playoffs on the line. I think Stansbury got the best of Mountain Crest, but there was some controversy. It came down to the wire. The Mustangs certainly feel I think that they have felt all year long that if they got another shot at the Stallions, then they could potentially get a big win in that game. Now to do it with some, advancing in the playoffs on the line, I think that game is going to be really, really fun. And if there's one thing we know, I've been out to Stansbury for playoff games. That community is going to show up. It's going to be a fantastic environment. I'm excited to see some horse-on-horse action out there in Stansbury with the Mustangs and the Stallions. And I expect to see good defense. That's what Stansbury's known for. Mountain Crest has played well defensively. But these two quarterbacks, man, Braden Larson, Brighton Rutzel, I'm excited to see who puts the team on their back and leads their team to a victory. Because I think that's what it's going to come down to is the quarterback play. Whichever quarterback plays makes one or two extra plays in that game, I think is going to be, ultimately who comes out on top in that one.
That's a great one, Jeff, and I'm with you. I think that's a fantastic game. It was a heck of a region game when they played this year. I'll give you one that I think is really interesting, and it's just because I want to – one, it's two teams that were not on my radar at all, and then I could really see either of them winning it, and it's Highland at Hurricane. We've talked about Hurricane this year, and kind of the upstart Tiger has been fantastic to see that program get back on the winning side of things and to find some success consistently in their region, but also on the year. Dylan Gabriel's been fantastic for this offense, both throwing the football and running the football. Austin McRoberts is a name who he scores a ton. So does Brody Jacobs on the ground. This Hurricane offense, they've got a lot going on for them. And then you look at this Highland team where they lost their first 3 games of the year. They haven't lost since that point. They've reeled off now 8 straight, I believe, because I think they were 7-3 in the regular season, if memory serves correct, but had a decisive first round win. And, you look at this Highland team with Brody Dalton and with William Bauman. I mean, there's some guys there that, again, have had fantastic years for them. I'm really excited to see this potential matchup between two teams that I think, coming into this year, they were not on my radar as having a chance to advance to a quarterfinal, and yet here we are, and they each have a chance to advance to a quarterfinal. Highland Hurricane, I think it's going to be phenomenal. It's a 4-13, but I think Highland's better than a 13 seed. I think this is going to be a really good game down in Hurricane.
No, the way that Highland has come on late in the season as well, I'm with you, Dan. I think that's going to be a really good game. Another game, I think the regions have still confused me all year long, but I think we're staying in the same two regions. Skyline and Pineview, two more teams that I don't think a lot of people had circled as teams that could make a run in the playoffs. But when you look at these offenses on either side of the field in this one, somebody could make a run in these playoffs. It starts again with the quarterbacks. Xavier Cochie's been fantastic for Skyline all season long. Levi Shaw has done such an excellent job for Pineview, finding all of those playmakers. You've got Brock Harris, right, the big headliner who could have gone anywhere, stayed at Pineview, has built that team and helped build that team into a contender in their region, now a contender in their classification. It's just great storylines all along in this game, especially for guys who like to see these homegrown teams. And that's what Skyline and Pineview are. That's fantastic. I think this game is a sneaky good game as well. And either one of these teams that wins, you look at the way the bracket shakes out, they could potentially get a matchup that, hey, maybe they can win and get to Rice-Eccles Stadium. I don't think it would be overly surprising if either one of Skyline or Pineview found their way to Salt Lake City here in a couple of weeks.
We're going to come back to that, Jeff. That's a real interesting kind of tease you laid there. We'll get back to that, but I want to give one more game here in this second round that I'm excited for, and it's the 8-9. It's Park City and Skyview. The Skyview team, we had a lot of expectation with Jack Clark coming back, Xander Stokes as well coming back, and then Zachary Oxborough, who has had just a fantastic year, over 1,000 receiving yards, 15 receiving touchdowns for him. The Skyview team, they've had a lot of high-scoring games. Have some surprising losses. They're 7-4 on the year, but they've been close in those losses. They were close against Morgan. They were close against Stansbury. Ridgeline, look, I mean, that's Ridgeline, right? Ridgeline's been on their own planet this year. But this Skyview team has been really good. I'm really interested to see if they can have success against this stingy Park City defense, which is, I think, the second best scoring defense in 4A. If it's not the second, it's the third. It's up there. Coach Monzingo's crew, they do not give much up. And Eli Warner, this kid's an athlete. He's going to have an opportunity to go play at the next level. Super talented kid for Park City. I'm real interested to see if that minor defense can slow down Skyview. This Skyview offense, Jeff, I mean, it almost takes a miracle to keep them under 30. We'll see if Park City can do that. If they can, they've got an opportunity to get the win. But this could be a really, really interesting second-round game.
And a pair of coaches in that game that seems like they're built for the playoffs. Every single year, one of Coach Alder or Coach Monzingo, and a lot of times both, find their way to Salt Lake City for the semifinals. Excellent coaching matchup in that game for sure. And Dane, from as far as a storyline, looking at this bracket, I remember as a kid growing up watching PTI. Every time there was a major golf tournament, the question was, do you take Tiger or do you take the field? You weren't picking any individual after Tiger. It was Tiger or anybody else. And it feels kind of similar as you look at this 4A bracket. Do you take Ridgeline or do you take the field? Last year, if you would have taken the field, I mean, I think it was a very similar situation, similar pick. Everybody had Ridgeline as the favorite. Well, the field won. Is there anybody, as you look at this, is there anybody that can do that again? Do what Spanish Fork did and trip up Ridgeline along the way? Or, I don't know, this Ridgeline team, they felt like they're playing in a completely different gear this year on both sides of the ball. Is this all Ridgeline? I mean, is there anybody that can do what Spanish Fork did?
I don't know what just happened. Jeff, I'm supposed to host. You're supposed to analyze. Now you're flipping the seat on me. I don't like it, Jeff.
It's a hard question. I don't want to answer.
Great question. It's a great question. So you beat me to it. You decided to ask me so you didn't get put on the spot.
I've been holding that all year long, Dan. Now I'm playing that card one time right now.
All right. Well played, Jeff. I will learn for our other videos this week. But I mean, for me, look, last year I would have taken Ridgeline. I would have taken Ridgeline, not the field, and I would have gotten Burt. This year, I'm still taking Ridgeline. I just think this team is I think they're that good, number one. But then I think the other thing is that I just feel like there's a different motivation knowing they left it on the table last year. And look, they got beat, but I think that there's some, we should not have lost that game. And we're going to go out and prove that we are as good as we think we are. Look, you know, our pollsters have had them in the top 5 across the state, mind you, not in 4A, across the state, top 5 team all year long in our Rewind top 25. I think that's earned. I think this Ridgeline team, I would have them as heavy favorites. I'd pick Ridgeline versus the field. How about you?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that experience from last year, where so many of those guys that were on that team, it's largely the same team. This year, I think that experience is going to continue to drive them. It would be really, really hard for me to not pick Ridgeline looking at this bracket. But like you said, I would have picked Ridgeline last year, and lo and behold, there was Spanish Fork at the end of the day. So it's not some foregone conclusion that Ridgeline is going to walk away with this. But I do think that if they are right and they are playing right, they're going to be really tough for anybody to beat.
All right, let me throw. I'm going to take the host reins back now, Jeff. Give those to me. So 2 questions for you. I'm going to start with one, since we're talking about Ridgeline. If there is a team that beats Ridgeline, who do you think has the best chances to do that in 4A?
You know, you have to look at the way that the bracket kind of shakes out, right? And I think that the team that has the best chance to do it is the team that's been sitting at the top for the last couple of years. I think this Crimson Cliffs team, in what was supposed to be a rebuilding year, over the back half of this season, they have rebuilt themselves into the juggernaut that we expect them to be. Crimson Cliffs is very good. Tanawai Anderson's been fantastic at quarterback and continues to get better. Van Daly in that rushing game has been something that Crimson's been able to rely on when things aren't going well. And then defensively, man, they're just so strong. They've been able to slow down some of the best defenses. You have a guy like Major Stokes coming off the edge. He can disrupt a passing game and force some turnovers. And that's what you have to do if you're going to beat Nate Dolly in this ridgeline passing attack. You've got to force them into some mistakes. It wouldn't be until the championship game with Ridgeline being the 1 seed and Crimson is the 2. But I think that Crimson, that maybe feels like a little bit of a cop-out answer saying 1 versus 2, but I think Crimson is the best suited to take down Ridgeline if they can both get to that championship game.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with that. I will say this. You look at Ridgeline and their closest win this year, I think, was 20. I think it was 34-14 over Morgan. Their closest region game was Skyview. And I think that was 60-26 or something like that. It was 30 plus. But Skyview found a way to put up 26. I think you're going to have a good offense to knock off Ridgeline. So for me, it's Corner Canyon is probably the team to beat Ridgeline, but that wouldn't happen in the 4A state tournament. So, Jeff, do you have a sleeper for us? Is there a team like a low seeded team that you think put a run, maybe get to even a semifinal game or later in this tournament?
Well, I kind of teased it earlier, and I think that any of the 4 teams remaining in this section of the bracket could come out, and I wouldn't be surprised. You've got Pineview and Skyline. I think that game's going to be a ton of fun. Then you've got Snow Canyon and Green Canyon on the other side of that quadrant. Any 4 of those teams, I think, could come out. And I think that if you're one of those 4 teams, you're not overly intimidated by anybody else in your path to Rice Eccles. I think all 4 of those teams are going to feel very confident and feel like they've got a shot to do it. I really like this Pineview team. I've loved the performance of Levi Shaw all year long. If Green Canyon can upset Snow Canyon and somebody has to go down to St. George, that Green Canyon team has to go all the way down to St. George, that's super beneficial, right, for Pineview. I would think that's that I would look at Pineview as the favorite, but I look at Skyline, Xavier Kochi, man, I mean, that offense is going to be really tough for Pineview to slow down. Coach Tauili Ely at Green Canyon, he's been here before, and it seems like Green is always making a run in the playoffs. So any 4 of those, but that's the bracket, I guess the quadrant that I look at that maybe is the most uncertain. And I think any one of those 4 teams could find themselves in Salt Lake City and nobody would be overly surprised by that.
Interesting. Yeah. If I look, Green Canyon was on my short list for sleepers. And again, I'm kind of thinking like a double-digit seed, right? A double-digit seed that could get a run. I think that Green Canyon team is really, really talented. I think their defense is really good. Snow Canyon's tough, right? But if they can find a way to slow up the Warriors down there on the road, that would be a team I think could put a run on. Let me give you one more. We talked about earlier, Highland. I think Highland's got to be really pleased with where they're sitting. Yeah, they got to go down to take on Hurricane, and that's a really good Hurricane team. We talked about that. But this Highland defense also slowed up Skyline's offense. It's been the best scoring defense in that region. Now, you may say, well, that region isn't as tough up top as some of the other regions, and that may be true. But I think this Highland defense has played really well as they've kind of found themselves. And so I'm curious that Highland team, because if they get past Hurricane, then they'd have the winner of Provo and Salem Hills, and love Garrick Orchard and company. But that's another one where it's like, okay, what does Highland have for that, right? They've seen spread offenses. They've had a chance to slow them down, not stop them, but slow them down. And that 13-seed Highland for me is one to keep an eye on as well. Jeff, any other thoughts on our 4A state tournament or games coming up this week, or just the tournament in general?
Well, you mentioned that if Highland does get past Hurricane, in all likelihood, it looks like Provo. They'd have to go through Provo. If it wasn't Crimson that could take down Ridgeline, I was going to go Provo. That's a really tough team too. I mean, the Bulldogs, they look good. Coach Chambers has those guys coached up really well. They've gone through some experience that they're going to be able to rely on as the playoffs get tough. That Provo team could make a run as well. I don't know if a 5 seed is some underdog that you don't expect to be there, some Cinderella story, but Provo could be a team we're talking about for a few more weeks.
Yeah, that's interesting, Jeff. I mean, I hadn't thought of them on the short list. I love that you mentioned them because look, their losses. They started the year off 0-4, but every single one of those, I think for one, which was out of state, was a one possession game. So they were in all those. Could very easily be sitting at 9-1. That's a great call. There you have it. There's our thoughts for 4A games this week. A lot of great games throughout the state, top to bottom in 4A. A high school near you is hosting a playoff game. Get out, enjoy it while the weather is still beautiful fall here in Utah. Great games coming at you. And of course, you can catch Jeff and I our other bracket breakdowns. You can see them in 6A, 5A, 3A, 2A, 1A, all on KSLSports.com. For Vince Francis, Jeff Hansen, my name is Dane Stewart. Thank you for joining us, and get out to a game this week or come join us live on streams the rest of the ways we take you all the way to state championships on KSLSports.com.